Well, hello, everybody.
Yep.
Well, that was very uneventful. I was hoping maybe you was gonna get up, dance a jig or something since you're feeling better. You got your health back.
I'm not. I'm not quite there yet. As a matter of fact, I don't think I'm ever there, even when I'm feeling healthy.
Well, hello, everybody. Glad y'all could join us tonight. I know it's cool in I guess, most everywhere tonight. It's cooler than it was last week, anyway. It's kind of cool here. I've got my auxiliary heat on over there, so I finally got it up to 70 degrees in here. But I ran out of propane earlier, which I've been working out here all day today. It was like 55 to 60, which is not bad, but it's not where I like for it to be. So now I have propane, and I have well, that's not the right camera. Yeah, I have that guy over there throwing off some heat. I have to keep it away from everything because it does generate some good heat, but I use it to knock the chill off out here in the mornings when I get out here before everything warms up. Because the mini split, as many of you know, mini splits, unless you get the right one, they lose efficiency below freezing. And so when it gets down below freezing, it doesn't work. You get diminishing returns on your heating. So how are you up there? I see you're in the basement, so I guess that means it's definitely not warm up there where you are.
No, not at all. Yeah. No, it's like a balmy 4 degrees right now. Wind chill has it down to about -21, and only to get worse.
Cool.
I think it's going to be -7 around 7 a.m. and the wind's supposed to keep coming. So, and that's not the worst of it. Worst of it's next weekend. So probably gonna see me down here next week too.
Yeah. It hasn't been bad down here during the day. It's at night when it gets a little cool in here. So, but I'm about ready to turn that thing off over there because I'm starting to feel the heat on the back of my head now. It gets warm.
I would think your head would be fairly reflective of that heat.
Mm, easy killer. Silver jokes over here. Silver jokes. I'm trying to go through the comments to see what we got going on. But how's everybody out there doing? Anybody got any big questions or anything for us tonight? We're hopefully trying to get back into the swing of things here since both of us are now back home. And I mean, I've been healthy, but maybe Steve's getting back healthy again, so he can do a little more stuff.
Yeah, I hope so. Midweek, I came down with just something just kind of knocked me out, and I don't do good with respiratory viruses, and this one had me quite congested, and that means I don't sleep well, and yeah, just kind of had me laid up. So, but it's been going around up here. So I don't know where it came from or what, but I caught it. Getting over it, but yeah, I didn't have the energy or the voice to really even do voiceover stuff for some of my CAS videos. So I'm hopefully going to get a couple of those out, and then I got some equipment project videos that have gotten a little delayed. But it's been cold. I mean, it was warmer the big first half this week, so it would have been nice to be in the shop then. But yeah, this week's not looking great for big shop time. Maybe stuff down here, but
Go ahead and get you some basement shop jobs.
yeah, smaller laser. I've been actually thinking I'd have to like dust proof and somewhat soundproof it, but I've been thinking about seeing if I could build an enclosure for like the Reno Pro Max or something like that. Get that down here just so I could do smaller,
CNC jobs, whatever.
Yeah, smaller signs, carvings and such down here as well. But I don't want it to be dusty or really noisy. So
yeah. Gray says CO2 issues. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Not sure.
Is it getting too cold in your shop for that?
No, no, I mean this stays above freezing in here. It just gets down to where it's not t-shirt weather. So, I'm not used to that. So I had to wear my hoodies and stuff. And I only had one. I had a that zipped up because I like the ones that zip because I like the
Yeah.
sleeves, but I don't like being all like you know all the time. So I got one that's a Dickies. It's like a sweatshirt with a zipper, and that's usually all I wear. But then I went to Tractor Supply the other day. Me and Brandy did, and they had this guy and had it on sale for like $29, and it's actually Carhartt and everything. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to take that home with me, and I like this one. This one's more like a jacket though. It's a little thicker. So, but that's good since it's 20 something.
So I think that's his question with your propane heater with the CO2.
Oh, no, as drafty as this place is, no problem.
That's the funny thing is that when I first built my garage shop, it's insulated, it's drywall, insulated rolled up doors and everything. I did run an open flame propane heater in there a little bit, and not too long after that, I was starting to see mold because it ain't drafty out there. And
Yeah,
so all
no,
that moisture was
yeah.
was in there.
If it wasn't for the big 16-foot garage door over here that like has no way of sealing it because it's a barrel door. So if you know what barrel doors look like, or if you have one, well, you can't see it really, but that whole front of my shop is a barrel door, and the way that thing is it's basically sheet metal that rolls up, and so the metal's like this. So on both sides of it, there's gaps. I've got like a little brush seal that I've installed to try to cut down on some of the airflow around that door. But if the wind blows really hard, you can literally feel the breeze over by the front door. So yeah, I'm not I'm not too worried about that, and I don't run it that much because once I get the chill knocked off, I usually turn it off. Matter of fact, like I said, I'm starting to get a little warm over here now, but I usually run it for a few minutes and then I'll cut it off. I don't leave it on all day. That and it gets, like I said, it uses a bunch of propane too. I had to go get propane today, and there was a line at Tractor Supply. Everybody was like trying to get a get a bottle topped off.
I suppose.
But no, it doesn't. It's too drafty in here. I mean, even just the 3 ports that I've got through the wall for the lasers, or four ports for the lasers, as well as one for my shop tool chip extraction. Just those places alone, there's a bit of a draft constantly in here.
Yeah. Yep. Those things will definitely pull some air out of the shop if you don't, unless you're using your enclosure Zilla that cycles it through. But
yeah, it does better. I've been running it the past 2 days. I've been using it most everything I've done because it keeps it from sucking all my heat out.
Yeah.
Unless you do like I did today, I forgot and left the door propped open on it while I was doing something. And I was like, ah! At that point, it's pulling air from the shop out. Steve has less natural insulation on his head. Oh, me. I actually got all my hair mostly. Don't got a spot yet, which I'm proud of. My dad was bald by the time he was my age.
Mm.
Great. It's not me. Me and Abby came back perfectly healthy. Neither one of us was sick. I don't know what Steve's deal is. You can't take him nowhere. Like he is like the canary in the mine. Like if there is a disease anywhere nearby, he is going to contract it. So he's just like the canary in the mine. I mean, it's like, oh, Steve's sick. We must have been within at least 3 blocks of somebody that was sick.
No, I just should not travel like between December and March.
Now you are up there too, where I would imagine this time of the year up there where everybody's stuck inside and all that. I would imagine things like that would run rampant during the cold spells.
I mean, you've got that, and you're less likely to get natural sunlight, which is huge to be
Oh, yeah.
able to absorb vitamin D and also just on your mood and your energy and all that stuff. So yeah, there's definitely and plus the seasonal effectiveness disorder when it's just too cold to go outside and do things. It definitely has an effect. I've noticed as I get older that has more of an effect on me. This time of year, I just want to shut down for a couple of weeks and go meh. But yeah, it's
fun here. So
I can definitely, like today I had to be outside because I was extracting my trailer from the ground that it was frozen to, and it did feel good to be out in fresh air before it got windy and super cold. So, but no, it's just I don't know. I need to learn not to travel during flu season, I think, because those type of respiratory things I'm very prone to. So,
well, I can honestly say I don't think I've ever had the flu. I've had the sniffles a couple of times in my life, and I haven't had this most recent virus that's been going around that everybody keeps getting. So I've been very fortunate. I've never had a flu shot, or any of the other shots for that matter, because I don't know. I've never really been one to get sick. Now I'll get injured. I'll break something in heartbeat, but I've just never really had a problem with getting like sick unless I eat. Now, sometimes I'll eat some stuff and maybe, you get the stomach kind of like a stomach bug or something, maybe. That's about the extent of illness as I get. And strep throat got me one time. Like it got me bad to the point where I went to the doctor and was like, hey, give me a shot, put me down, put me in a chemically induced a coma, something, because it was bad. But I don't know. It's just fortunate, I guess, which I do get a lot of sunlight too. So maybe that's it, because I stay outside a lot doing things. And even here, even in the wintertime, you can wear t-shirts like a lot most of the time. Like this week's not really been t-shirt weather, but typically you could.
Well, Kevin Rich has a question on my CO2. Is there a way to disassemble the laser nozzle? I was trying to clean it, and I think I pushed some junk up it because loss of power and my red dot doesn't look right. And he says it's the Reno 65 Pro. I don't know that you can disassemble the bottom part on that one. You can take the focus lens out from the top, from what I understand. I'm trying to because I don't want to confuse this with my Polar. But yeah, I feel like that one is more of like a one-piece nozzle. Now, in a lot of them, like on the regular Mon ports and the OhmTech, the cabinet styles, usually the nozzle can screw off. You can put a deeper extended tube on there for doing things, and those break down a little bit easier. But some of these like desktop units, they're not as easily.
Is it got the same? Has it got the same nozzle as the Reno 45? You said it was a Reno.
I think it's close, but I don't know. I don't have the.
Because I know it. You can take the one on the Reno 45 apart, but it's a little. It like you said, it's not as simple as just twist a nut and take it loose. It's a little more involved. You have to take some parts off. Because I took mine off and cleaned the lens a couple of times just to do a little maintenance to make sure it didn't need maintenance, if that makes sense.
Right. And I can't you get the lens from the top fairly easily without disassembling too much, though? Because I feel like that's what I did without disassembling the whole thing. I have had some people ask me
you got
about
there's a couple of set screws that you got to take loose. That's what it was.
I've had people ask me
the lens
doing like a.
Go ahead.
I've had people ask me about doing a kind of a more in-depth maintenance video on the Reno laser, so maybe that's something I can do while it's cold.
Yeah, the from what I can remember, there's some set screws. You got to take those set screws loose, and then the bottom part of the nozzle slides out. Because I remember putting it back together, you really just have to kind of depend on where the little bracket for the lasers clamped to it at as an indicator where to stop. The mirror is pretty easy because you can get it from the top. It's the bottom part of the nozzle. So yeah, you can do it. If it's like the 45, you can do it. It's just going to require a little bit of tools. You're not going to just reach down there and unscrew it like you can.
So otherwise, the other thing you can do is if you can get the lens out from the top without taking the whole thing apart, then you can usually get down into the cone, just get like a cotton swab kind of thing with some alcohol and try to clean it out that way. But yeah, like I said, I'll try to, I've had enough people ask me about maintenance things on there that I'll see if I can put together a thing and see how any tips on disassembly of that.
There she is. Yeah. Yeah, I don't get sick often. I have damaged myself a few times. Duckwood Designs is asking, what are your first impressions of the Creality Falcon T1? I plan to do just kind of what I learned about it and what I think about what I've saw so far type video, kind of like we did with some of the other stuff that we got to see. But I've been busy with other stuff, jobs, and helping people with projects and stuff like that I hadn't got it out yet. We did get to see the T1 in action at CES and kind of just get to look at it. We didn't get to like play with it and tear it apart or nothing like that, but we got to look at it and kind of get a feel for how it was built. It looks. I
wouldn't say in action. We got to see it physically.
Yeah,
but didn't get to see it really operating.
No, the being able to swap the modules out is pretty neat. I did see where there's going to be some calibration and stuff like that, of course, that you got to do once you swap it out. So I don't think it's going to be something that you're going to want to be doing 3 or 4 times a day. But I'm curious. They've got my curiosity piqued anyway, because it looks like a very interesting machine.
Yeah. 2 different diode modules, 20 watt and 40 watt, a 20 watt fiber, a 60 watt MOPA, and a 5 watt UV. Definitely gives it some flexibility, and I imagine you'll be able to choose which modules you want to use. About 175 by 175 millimeter working area, so at least that's more realistic.
Yeah,
we've seen some that try to push it up into that 200 and whatnot, and I don't think you. That's maybe 200 round, not square by any means, and that's kind of pushing it. So, but yeah, initial impressions, I'm excited to see more of it. I kind of like the idea of maybe being able to swap modules. I'm not a big fan of machines that try to do everything, but when you're talking about laser to laser to laser, we're talking about different wavelength modules. This seems more realistic and more plausible. And the frame was kind of comparable in size to the X-Tool F1 Ultra, F2 Ultra kind of thing.
It was similar.
So yeah, I mean, it's going to have a similar footprint and whatnot as those.
It might have been a little smaller than the Ultra, like not a lot, but a little bit, as far as how much cubic space it takes up.
Yeah, hard to say when they're not next to each other, but it is close. So, but yeah, kind of excited to see Creality jumping deeper into the laser game with that, and also their 3D printer line with some new things coming out too. That kind of things to step some things up. So,
yeah, the little what was it called, the Spark, the new 3D printer that they have. The
Spark i7 with the Bamboo A1 clone.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. Because it's a smaller machine, open frame. But yeah, and then some of the other ones, the 3D scanners. Now that I've kind of gotten my feet wet with 3D scanning, I'm very interested in those. The one that they had up there that Yuri was showing us was really cool. Maybe one day we can work one of them in. But until then, I'll just be using that one that I got over there that I can finally talk about now. Brian says, David, if they made it where the flu shot helped prevent hair loss, would you get one then? No. I didn't have any hair up until a few years ago. I've always shaved my head. So I'm really impartial to hair. I only really use it to keep my head burnt. Because if you don't have hair, your head gets sunburnt a lot more. You have to wear hats. But I've never been one to want to wear a hat. And I think that comes from all the years of working with Asplin, having to wear a hard hat everywhere I went. I don't like having something on my head now. Because I had to wear a hard hat. Then I had to wear a Kevlar helmet. And I just don't like having stuff on my head all the time.
Santa's Laser Engraving is asking, running tons of PLA on the 85X, tried a little TPU and PETG, never used any glue, and everything has stuck. I clean the plate with just alcohol every time. What needs the glue? So some people will use, you really shouldn't need the glue with a good build plate, especially if you keep it clean. Now, if you clean with alcohol too much, I would suggest running it through a little Dawn dish soap and get really clean off oils and whatnot, because the alcohol can also leave a little bit of residue and such. What you might find with PETG is sometimes it sticks too well to a build plate, and that's when some people will use the glue. Is actually, is it easier to release? Because PETG, if you print onto a textured plate, especially, you can sometimes find that it is well adhered to that thing. But most modern printers with the right build plate shouldn't need a whole lot of a binder to stick to the plate. But in some cases, it actually does the inverse of helping it release.
Yeah. Yeah, I say there are times where I kind of think I need to put some on there to make mine come loose a little easier.
Yeah.
That Pet G occasionally will have one little spot that it'll hang on there, especially on the supports. Like those supports will be hung on there like a rusty fish hook. What's up, Mr. Ryan Ballard? How are you, sir? I missed the show last night. I was busy.
Yeah, I missed everyone's live streams this week.
Yeah, I've had a busy week. Gray Viking says, what do you guys think about ABS filament for 3D printers? I'm having a heck of a time with my P2S bed adhesion out of my cold garage here in Virginia. I have several electric heaters to keep it at 60 degrees. I don't use ABS because I don't really have a printer suitable for it. So I'm not really the one to ask about that. Steve, any input?
I don't do a whole lot with ABS. I just don't need quite that durability. Mostly for me, PETG does good enough, and I don't need the higher heat and the as much concern of the fume control with it. But yeah, if you're having trouble keeping it at 60 degrees, I don't know if you can. I was just talking with Clack today, just before the show. I saw a person in the X-Tool thread. They had bought this massive tent for their apparel printer. Now they'd make the smaller tents. Both Clack and I had was it from Creality or someone?
I think it was a Creality one, but
it was like the 40-inch and it was like, I don't know, like 36 square and 40-inch tall tent. They're often grow tents. They're aluminum on the inside. They have vent holes and such. You may want to see about trying to keep it in that to try to contain the heat with that reflective internal stuff if you're having trouble with it. But yeah, if you're struggling with kind of the just general environmental, the printer is going to have to work harder to keep that temperature up. And ABS is kind of a bit finicky with its heat regulation on that. So maybe just wait till warmer weather and run some PETG in the meantime if it'll work for you.
Yep. Dirty 427 says, looking for suggestions on a battery backup generator that would run a We Create Lumos, a fume extractor, and a laptop for events. Well, coincidentally, Steve and I talked to several companies while we were at CES that was kind of their wheelhouse. Maybe we get to try a couple of them out. Maybe we don't. I don't know for sure. But we have some contacts through email to maybe try some out. I've never had one of those. I use a regular gas generator. I know Steve's got experience with one that he's used a few times. So,
Yeah.
you know,
Uh,
it is an option, but
the thing you're going to want to look for is your actual usable watt hour, the capacity of it. And so trying to find the balance of the features you need. You don't necessarily need a lot of the features. So I try to look at, what's the best dollar mark per watt hour. It really depends on how much you're going to run. Is your laptop, there's a big difference between a 65 watt laptop and say a 200 watt gaming laptop. So if you can get a laptop that draws fewer watts, that's going to help. But your laser, you're going to be running about 65 to 75 watts. That fume extractor is probably going to be another 75 to 100, and your laptop is probably again going to be in that 65 to 100 watt range. So if everything's running at full, you're talking 350-ish watts. So even a 1,000 watt hour battery, where they often get maybe 80 to 85% capacity of usable space on that, you're talking 3 to 4 hours of runtime, like running everything at full. Now, keep in mind, when that laser idles down, when that fume extractor idles down, and your laptop maybe not running at full, you might only be running at 30 to 50 watts at idle. So you're going to be able to extend it a bit. But if you want to run solidly and you have no other input source, now some of these will let you run solar to help top it off as well and such. And if you're outdoors, you can add to that. But minimum, I would get, something at least 1,000 watt hour, but I would really recommend you look in that 1,500 to 2,000 watt hour if you can, for like a full 8-hour day of expecting, almost constant use. They're going to be a little more expensive, but if you shop around, you can often find some in that range for some decent deals that are hopefully are around that 50 cent per watt hour range. So
yeah, no, that's what we were talking to them about up there was, where does it land? Because portability after about 1,500 watts, you start getting into more. You need a wagon or you need some wheels on that thing. It needs to be rollable because it does get heavy for not necessarily for me or you, but if you've got a little old lady going to do a craft fair and it's a 400-yard walk to get to the booth, you're definitely going to want something to assist in carrying that because it'll get heavy after a while.
And the other thing to look at is maybe not necessarily maybe look at a deal of where you have two different ones. So you might have a situation where you could have one charging somewhere,
rotate them
and
out,
then you can swap them out midday, and that might be cheaper than one big 2,000 watt hour one. Or you can get the ones that have the add-on batteries or that they'll run in parallel, things like that. But I wouldn't be too stuck on name brand. A lot of them are pretty similar components. You can definitely get, the Jackeries, the EcoFlows, the Blue Eddies. They're kind of the bigger name brands. Sometimes you pay more for that price. Where I have the Vito Man was kind of the lowest dollar per watt hour, and it was kind of a no-name brand at the time. They've stuck around. They still have some options. And then there's also, we were there. It seemed like, there were so many that just completely no name at CES ones. So
yeah, I don't know which category had the most, whether it was batteries, EV like bikes and trikes, or lawnmowers. I don't know. Those three were very popular.
I would say it was like it felt like more companies had the these things, the little portable power bags.
Yeah. Yeah, there were a lot of them too.
Yeah, there was, but yeah, I would look around for deals on, based on the watt hour, not so much like XYZ brand name.
Yeah. Dixie Mays asking if either one of y'all played with the K1 from Acemer. Said just ordered it, but wondering about the IR upgrade. I haven't had that one. I think that's one of the minis, isn't it?
Yeah, so they're enclosed mini.
Yeah.
So the closest thing I've got is the Sculptphone iCube Ultra. That has a swappable IR module and the regular blue diode module. I don't remember what IR module they offer for this. I'm guessing it's like a 1.5 or 2 watt. So if you want to kind of, you could check my video out on the iCube Ultra as to what I was able to do with that small module and such. I will say that you're going to be limited to, just marking like on like little pendants and things like that. It's not going to be something you're going to be doing bigger jobs or deep engravings on.
Yeah. It's probably not going to be fast for anything of any size. Text is probably going to be your go-to for that. Oh, I think I have rolled all the way to the bottom of the comments. Oh. I'm pretty sure I missed a bunch of them. So if you had a question and we've missed it, feel free to drop that back down below because it's hard to keep up sometimes. I try to stay engaged in the conversation and don't just sit here and stare at the comments scrolling by. But yeah. So if you got a question, feel free to drop those in there and let us know. There's one, Steve. Mike's wanting to know how the 85X is working for you.
I'll be honest, I haven't used it a lot this past month because in my other shop down here, I've been working with the Anycubic K1 or Anycubic S1 Pro with the Ace Pro. Sorry, the Anycubic S1 combo. And so this one's kind of just been sitting here. Well, actually, most of my others have just been sitting here for the most part while I've been working with that one. And then of course CES kind of put a break on that one. I have yet to. I did replace the nozzle on it. I had a clog that I couldn't clean out properly, and I was having a little bit of feeding issues. But once I replaced the nozzle, it's working great again. So and those are pretty cheap. I think I bought a 4-pack for $20 off Amazon or something like that. So yeah, it's still here, still ready to be used. But I just got that other one in kind of mid-December and was trying to work through it. That one, I was having some first layer issues. It was causing some kind of rippling and such. And so I had to do a bunch of kind of manually adjusting the Z offset. It's got the bed level sensing and calibration, but it was digging in too deep. And so I just had to print off a bunch of those to try to get that reset. And now that one seems to be printing better. So I'm going to run a few more prints through it to see how it's working. And then I should have more information out on that one as well.
Mercy. Jeffrey Stone's asking, with both of you having experience with Lightburn's X-Tool and X-Tool's creative software, do you still, and then the rest of it down here at the bottom, prefer to design in Lightburn and import into CES? And my answer is yes, but it's mostly just because I'm lazy and I know my way around Lightburn, and it's so much quicker for me to do it in Lightburn than it is to stop and learn the functions in X-Tool Studio. So I haven't tried to learn all the features. I'm starting to pick them up just through using it, but I haven't just completely tried to sit down and design in X-Tool Studio. I feel like there's still some tools that either I can't find, I'm overlooking, or whatever, as far as like alignment and stuff like that I just don't feel as comfortable with X-Tool Studio as I do with Lightburn. But I have done some simple logos with text and stuff like that. I do those in X-Tool Studio, but anything complex, like one of my box files and stuff like that, I still do in Lightburn, mostly because I've got a whole bunch of like little parts and pieces in a library that I can draw from that are already made. So to me, X2 Studios come a long way, but I still prefer to design in Lightburn for any kind of like other than just graphics. What about you, Steve?
I'll be honest. It's the whole old habits die hard. If it's a basic design, I'm comfortable in each one. But if it's complex, I don't even design in Lightburn. I go back to my other drawing programs, and then I'll import it into Lightburn or XCS, just because the muscle memory of the tools and the operations in those programs are just, it's hard to retrain yourself to, when you start struggling in something, you revert back to what's basic.
Yeah, you're just like,
so,
okay, I'm going over here because I know my way around over here.
I would agree that X-Tool Studio has added a majority of the tools that I would use in Lightburn, and they are good design tools in both of them. But whatever you kind of learn first and get most comfortable with tends to be what you revert back to until something forces you that you can't.
Yeah. Like I said, I did this weekend. I used X2 Studio and brought some SVGs in that were sent to me, and all that is, simple. But let me see. But when I'm designing stuff like this little guy, this is my little change sorting thing that I've been working on. When I'm designing this, I'm too clumsy in X2 Studio. See, it's got it's a bunch of boxes that the sizes get smaller as they go down. So you just like drop your change in the top of it and shake it, and it separates all your change. Like you got like quarters, nickels, pennies, and dimes. And when they completely do away with the pennies, you just take that layer out. When you get to where you don't have any more. But this, I wouldn't feel comfortable doing it. Well, first of all, it's just the way that X-Tool Studios software works. I just don't know where all the tools are because I don't use it for designing. And until I get to where I can't access Lightburn, I probably never will, just to be honest, because Lightburn is just easy for me to grab it and go. So yeah, that's where I'm at on that. Let's see. I'm trying to find out.
Did you want to do that one you just had on the screen?
Which one was that? I
don't know. You.
Yeah, that was Jeff. That was the other half of his preferred, I think.
No.
Oh, was it not?
This is why you got to stop clicking on them early, because then you forget you clicked on them.
Which one are you talking about? Maybe I clicked it accidentally because I thought that one was on there. I'd have to play it back and look.
No, you have a bad habit of clicking on a question when we're halfway through answering one. There you
go. I didn't click on that one.
You clicked
unless I did it accidentally.
Well, you clicked on it, you get to answer it.
DJS says, hi guys, I noticed the Reno 65 Pro when I'm running a job in Lightburn does not show the progress bar like it did on my diode laser. Is that because of the Top Wisdom controller? Never paid attention to that. I know that stuff has to be set up in Lightburn with approximate speeds and white space scan and all that. So,
well, the real-time progress bar, if you're talking about as it's doing a job, on a lot of the DSP controllers, it actually sends the file to the controller fully. It doesn't stream it like it does with a GRBL controller. Yeah. So it doesn't necessarily know the progress of the laser, and that's when you got to look usually at the control panel of the laser, or the control screen of the laser to see the progress. They don't all have it or not, but yeah, these kind of lower end DSP controllers aren't giving any feedback to Lightburn for it to know the current progress of the file. It just sends it off and tells it to start the job.
Okay. Yeah, I got you. I was trying to figure out what he's talking about, but I know what you're talking about now. It's the file, like the file transmission progress bar, not the estimated time.
Well, it's the estimated time, and the reason that the GRBL ones work is because it's sending
It knows
the
which
command
packet
to
is
the
sent.
laser.
Yeah.
And it whereas with the DSPs, it sends the whole file to the laser and says, okay, here's your file, run it. Versus
which to be honest with you, I kind of like the DSP function doing that, because you can like save the files to it and access them and so forth.
Tell you, fill up your memory.
Yeah, and especially with that Top Wisdom, there's a procedure you have to go through to empty the memory on that Top Wisdom, which is, I don't understand why they didn't just make it automatically right over, but whatever.
Now on some controllers, they have the option to either run it or send it, and then you would get some feedback. But on the lower end ones, you have to send the file send it fully, and then it tells it to run. So
yeah. All right. Well, I don't see any more questions. I still don't remember clicking on that one unless I did it accidentally. I'm gonna have to go back and watch the replay, because either
Brian's asking if I still use Vectric for design. I do. Again, if it's a simple job, like if I'm setting up a catch-all tray, or maybe text on a sign, thing like that. But if it's a complex, like 3D multi-sided object, I'm still going to draw it up in CAD, and then import that into either VCarve or Lightburn or Xtool Studio. Joe Cree's asking, have either of you 3D printed a lithophane? And if so, what is the best filament? I have not. I've seen some very cool ones done. Mostly they're done with just a white PLA. But I haven't looked into, I haven't played around with that a whole lot to see is there better, are there better filaments, or are there like is a matte PLA, or sometimes that versus a glossy versus other ones would be better or not, but definitely kind of a cool effect.
All right, so Dixie's asking, what do you think about Ashmer's wood engravers? I'm not sure if you're talking about laser or CNC, but thinking about getting their small one next, tinkering around all I do. If you're talking about lasers, I've had good luck with Ashmer's lasers. Their attempts at making a spindle CNC, not so much. They just don't have the mechanisms, the drivetrain, in my opinion, to compete with, brands like Genmitsu or Fox Alien, or SainSmart, I guess it would be, or Fox Alien. They none of these laser companies can keep up with SainSmart and Fox Alien on that, for the money. Me and Steve have tried a couple of them, and it's just never the same. It's never as good. I still will recommend SainSmart Genmitsu CNCs for beginners, and the Fox Alien if you want to spend a little more money but get some cool features and some different upgrade avenues. Matter of fact, I should have another SainSmart CNC coming pretty soon that I'm going to be reviewing, which I expect it to perform just as well as the rest of them that I've tried. It's just going to be a little bit different form factor, size constraints and stuff for somebody with a smaller shop. So, yeah, if you're looking at a CNC, I would, like I said, there's only a couple of brands that I would trust without you know, understanding that you're just going to be scratching stuff. You're not going to be really doing anything major with it.
But as far as their laser engravers,
Oh, their lasers are fun.
we've had a variety of them, and I mean, even their little, what is it, the S1?
S1, I think is what they called it.
The
The little orange plastic corner brackets and stuff.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to understand. The S1's their mini one, their little black mini one. That did an okay job if you're realistic with what it can do. But their S1 or P1S and their S1 series, those are actually decent for just engraving.
Yeah.
They've got a nice fine spot size in the lower wattage. And they seem to be pretty smooth for a budget kind of laser.
Yeah, hanging on the
They weren't
wall.
bad.
Yeah, the little was it the P1S or P2S or something? The little orange and black one that was like a 300 by 300.
That's the S2.
S2, yeah, it wasn't bad. I mean, like as far as operation and like you said, realistic expectations of what it's capable of at like a 7 watt, it'd be a good little engraving machine. Now, if you're wanting to cut, it's not really your go-to for cutting, but for engraving, I was really impressed with this performance.
Uboofer is asking, have any of you played with Bamboo Suite? I have the H2C laser version. I haven't had much chance to try it. I've downloaded it primarily to export some of the designs in their Maker World. They have there's a couple of combined 3D printing and laser files out there that I wanted to play with. And unfortunately, they come in kind of the native. If a person publishes it from their suite, it comes in their native design file, but you can export it as like an SVG. So I've opened it up to basically export files to a more universal version. Seems similar to their design, their normal Bamboo Studio for the 3D printing, but with more laser features in there, but not having the H2C laser device. I don't have a whole lot of use to play around in it outside of exporting files.
Darcy says, hey guys, thanks so much for teaching me this art. I have learned so much from the both of you. X2 S1 owner for 30 days. S1's a good machine to learn on. It's like I had somebody message me today wanting to compare the S1 to your least favorite laser manufacturer's machines, and I recommended the S1 because it I think out of the two, it would be the best one to go with.
Yeah, I still have mine in use down here in my basement shop. Works really well with their AP2 for me anyway. I've got the 40-watt module on there, and it's kind of my go-to for my basement workshop. I've also got the Reno 45 down here, which is great for CO2 projects, but it's got a smaller working area than the S1. And I have a lot of people ask me, I actually had some people reach out to me asking about, getting a laser for engraving cutting boards and getting a lot of input that, oh, you've got to go CO2. They're better. Well, for engraving, they're not necessarily better. You actually are going to have an easier time getting a darker engraving with a diode than a CO2 just due to the way the wavelength interacts with most materials. And so in that case, I said, no, if you're doing a lot of cutting or deep stuff, the CO2 is going to be your way to go if you want speed and production. But for quality engravings, the smaller spot size and the more sintering burn of that blue diode laser is actually going to do better for you. So it's just a couple of reasons why I like having the both down there. But yeah, it's a good laser to learn on and can work well for quite a while for most people. Just got to keep it clean. You're gonna want to learn how to clean that thing, and don't let it go too long before you clean it because that just makes it even worse.
Yeah. Jer O'Grady saying, have you tried the insert for bolts for 3D printing? I just got one and find it handy. I don't have the press per se. I've just got the one that you have the bit that screws into your soldering iron and you can do them that way. I don't have a press, but yeah, they're pretty handy when you need them. I've, to be honest, I bought mine because I had some cameras and stuff to where the nut that was in them got twisted and came out, and so I bought it so that I could actually drill the holes a little bigger and replace them, and it works pretty well.
I have not used one yet, but yes, they do. They can be very handy for wanting to bolt pieces together and
Yeah.
Have a stronger, you know, you can add threads in 3D printing, but having metal threads that are, heat sunk into it, a lot better.
DJS, I don't know if that's if I don't think that's the way it works on the Pro with the Top Wisdom, but yeah, he's just talking about how to get stuff off the controller because the Top Wisdom was a bit of a handle on the Pro. Because I filled mine up like the first week of testing, and I'm like, well, this sucks because now I can't use the machine because it's like delete files to use the machine, but there's nothing in the book telling me how to delete the files. So, let's see.
Santa's Laser Engraving's asking about fonts and where is everyone uploading new fonts. I've been on DeFont for a few, but they're mostly for personal use. That's one area you might want to look at. Some sites like Creative Fabrica. They have fonts that generally come with commercial use rights. Just always be mindful of their actual terms and conditions with that. Otherwise, yeah, if this is another area that if you're doing a lot of custom fonts, it might be worthwhile even subscribing to like Adobe, because a lot of people have Adobe fonts you want to use, and you can usually get it from their libraries as well. But it's one of those things where if you're doing it commercially, you're going to end up spending some money to get some of those specialty fonts.
Let's see here. Dixie, kind of like I said earlier, if you're looking at them, to me, the Genmitsu series from SaneSmart, the anything above the 3018 is a good one. And Fox Alien. Those are the two best ones that I've had in the shop as far as small budget ones. I mean, you can get like the one that we gave away in the Christmas edition the other day. You can get a small like Shipoko 4 or something like that too, but they're going to be a bit pricier than what you can get the Genmitsu series for, and a little bit bigger too.
Boomer's asking, I have an Atom Stack A40 Pro V2 with an autofocus button on the controller. Is there a G-code command or series of commands to create an autofocus macro button in Lightburn?
I think it's the same one.
Yeah, I think it's the ESP 500.
500, yeah. In brackets.
Yeah, you got to have that in brackets. And so if you go into your macro, just create a new button, name it focus or autofocus or whatever you want, and then just put that command in there. That should do it. I haven't run into one of their lasers that doesn't work with. Yeah, but I don't have the A40 Pro V2 to.
The Hurricane would probably be using the same. I would imagine the Hurricane would use the same, or not the Hurricane, the Glacier.
The Glacier
would use the same. So let me see what the macro on it is. Focus for so focus edit. Yeah, it's ESP 500 on the Glacier too. So I'm guessing that's probably going to be it. But you got to have brackets on it, so it'll be just create one of your buttons and set it to bracket capital ESP 500 and close the brackets. So that's what I know, the A70 Pro and the Glacier, that's what they use. So I would imagine it would be the same. I don't have the 40 Pro V2. I wanted to make my A70 into a wide body, but Adam Stack wouldn't work with me on getting me the parts and stuff. So I'm scratched that for now. Brad's custom boards just says, since I'm new to 3D printing, can y'all tell me the difference between filaments and when to use each filament? Basically, my recommendation: get you some PETG and call it a day. Unless you're making like really like high demand, like supportive things. If you're just making like general shop stuff, most everything you're going to need, you can change, modify the infill and everything, and do a lot with PETG. Because I was using PLA and I've moved over to PETG, and it's substantially tougher than PLA. PLA does not fare well in extreme temperatures, especially in Alabama in the sun. It will get very flaccid very quick.
So this is a case of it depends on what you're going to use it for. If you're doing more industrial things, then yes, go with that advice. But I mean, if you're doing more decorative things, they're just going to be inside. There's a lot more color choices, and PLA can be a lot more forgiving. It's kind of like the basic get started filament that everybody uses. But yeah, it can be brittle. It's not as good in exposure to sunlight and heat and things like that. PETG is kind of a step up from that. But if you need like a really, really durable plastic, that's when you would get into things like ABS. But ABS requires, higher bed temps, a little higher extruder temps. It's more, it needs an enclosed kind of temperature controlled printing environment. And it also has more VOCs and vapors that you need to really vent out. You don't want to be breathing those in. There's quite a few different types of filaments out there. There's some nylon ones. There's actual like carbon infused, metal infused, different ones as well. There's some nylon ones. TPU is more like a flexible type filament. So if you need to make almost a rubbery type object, you would use that. But there are a lot of nuances to each one in how it prints and what type of temperatures it wants the bed at, what temperatures it wants the enclosure and maybe the extruder at. Might need a different type of build plate for adhesion and such. So there are some sites out there. Matter Hackers has a good kind of rundown of different types of filaments that you might want to look at. Just search for a filament comparison guide, and you'll see some better kind of explanations about it. But yeah, there's a lot of depends on what you're going to do it for and what type of machine you have as to what you might want to look at.
Yeah, if you don't have a closed machine, ABS is pretty much like not ideal unless you build an enclosure. Because that was the deal with me. I had my Ender. I didn't know when I first bought it. I ordered some ABS. Yeah, I still got that same ABS. I haven't used it yet. So if I ever do get an enclosed machine, I've already got some black ABS. So, but like I said, most everything. Yeah, most of the stuff that I do now, PETG is the PLA worked great, but PETG is even better. Like it's I'm getting some smooth finishes, and matter of fact, I had some Bigfoot parts printing earlier. I'm getting smooth finishes, good bed adhesion, sometimes too good at times. I have learned that with PETG, if you do not let the build plate cool completely, it's much harder to get it to pop loose. So luckily I've got two build plates, so I can just lay one to the side and let it cool and pop another one on there if I need to. So, but yeah, it's wild. Let me see if I got it. See if I can get it pull up. Yep. Matter of fact, there we are right there. Fresh on the printer. That's PETG. And those are pieces to the Bigfoot rotary adapters that I make. I've got 2 of them to ship out in the morning. I had to break down, set up a shipping department in my house. I got all high tech now. Steve talked that up. I was hoping I wouldn't have to do it, but I wound up having to break down and do it.
You'll like it in the long run.
Well, so far so good. I even went and talked to the ladies at the post office the other day, and she said it, as long as it's big enough to fit in my mailbox, I can literally just throw them in the mailbox and raise the flag, and she'll scan it in at the post office when she ends her route. So I don't even got to leave the house now. So that's going to be better. Klein says he's using Creality filament. Well, of course, you got Creality machines. Decline. All right, what we got here? When using silk PLA, would you recommend a smooth plate instead of a non-smooth? I've played around with some silk. I didn't really like it. It was stringy. I'm not crazy about it.
Silk can be a little more finicky in its adhesion, its layer adhesion, and your base adhesion. So I guess it depends on what you want the bottom to look like. If you care, then using a smooth plate might work better. But you want to really make sure you got that first layer really dialed in, so you have a good quality first layer for that to stick to. A silk PLA is definitely fun for, like some vase type things, some decorative things and such. But yeah, it does tend to be a little more troublesome in if you have any sort of issues with your base adhesion, or if you get any sort of layer issues, it seems to kind of amplify them. I haven't switched out for like a smooth one for anything I've done, because I haven't worried about that bottom, that base being super smooth.
Yeah. The one plate that I have is smooth on one side and then the textured on the other. But I'm like you, I've never used the smooth one.
Yeah, and as Mark says, you really want to help offset that finickiness, slowing it down definitely helps. And like he says, especially the outer wall. Yeah. So I'll often, depending on your printer, sometimes I'll put you have like the high speed PLA and then the standard ones. I'll usually run silk as a standard. And then sometimes I will, if I'm having trouble with it, I'll modify, make a custom profile to slow it down even more.
Dixie May is saying, so the Fox Alien Masuder 3, the 3S is what Steve and I have from Fox Alien. It's a great machine. I don't know what the differences are between the 3 and the 3S. I'd have to go look. Fox Alien makes good machines. Like I said, and so does SainSmart. And me and Steve both have numerous videos of SainSmart machines that we've reviewed of all different sizes, depending on what you're wanting to do, the work area that you need, how much space you have, how portable you need it to be. I mean, there's a lot of things to consider. Well, any more questions, concerns? It's starting to get a little cool in here again. We got down to 66, but down here where my feet's at, it's a little cooler than that. Dixie Jinmitsu SainSmart Jinmitsu. You can, if you'll go to mine or Steve's channel and just search for CNC or SainSmart, there's plenty of them. Because I think I've reviewed 6 different models from SainSmart, if you count the Cubico. Yeah.
I think you've had a couple more than me, because you had multiple versions of the 4040.
Yeah, I had the 4040 Pro, and then I had the 4040 Pro Max, 3030 Pro Ver, 6050, and the Cubico. I had 2 of the Cubicos, you remember? I had a pre-production and a post-production Cubico that I gave away in the shop. Currently, the only ones that I have in the shop now is my Shapoco and the Fox Alien, but that's just because I ran out of room. I've got another Saints Mark coming. Does Mike Thompson says, does Cody have juice groove bits? I mean, as long as you don't mind using, was it the big B or the little B? Either one of those would work.
He's got the bowl bit.
Yeah, if you really want a wide one.
That's a typical. It's a typical juice groove size, I think.
Yeah, the big B is a 1/4 inch. The little B is a 1/8, and then the bowl bit is it a 1/2 inch, 3/4?
Yeah,
the 1/2 inch.
Half.
Yeah.
So I think a 1/4 inch is too narrow for a good juice groove.
Yeah, that's the bowl bit. Does it? I mean, yeah, it would be. It'd be about a 1/2 inch. So yeah, that'd be a good, and you could still get in there to clean it real good. So yeah, it would do a good job, and it does a good job of with smoothing the bottom too. So yeah, I should have used this the other day on my alligators probably instead of the big B, but I was afraid that the radius would be a little too much on that 3D, so I went with the big B instead. Because the first time I did my preview toolpath on the alligators, it said 12 hours. And I'm like, that's not going to work. And so I kept going back and redoing it and adding bits and moving bits around. Mark said he's using a 3/8 ball nose for juice screws. And
I mean, that's probably ideal, but I find the 1/2 inch is I mean, you don't have to go super deep with it.
Yeah,
I've seen some people make a juice canyon.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and like I said, you could make one. I mean, it would have to do like 2 passes, but I mean, you could make one with a 1/4 inch bit if you wanted it 3/8. You could just, was that 75% step over, or no, 25%? Yeah, about 25% step over. You could technically make it 3 passes. Make it 3/8.
Yeah. Yep. Gray Vikings asking, do you guys ever see 3D printers getting to the level of Kydex? It would be cool to print a holster. Well, if you get into some of the resin printers, you got a lot more options for materials. You get into some of those industrial ones, you'd be surprised at the type of materials you can print with, but you got to be willing to pay for it. Because, now you're talking like a $3,000 machine in some of those cases for some of those higher end materials.
Yeah, we got to look at the Formlabs machine the other day where they were like literally printing like things that you could beat on the concrete with it and it wouldn't hurt. So it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, they had it was like a nylon, a PETG, or not a PTG, HD, HD. What is that?
HDPE.
Yes, HDPE.
So
milk cartons.
Yeah.
And then like some carbon infused kind of stuff. So. Dixie's asking if either of us have done one of those national park wood signs yet. No, I should. I know a lot of people like go camping and they'll put their sign out and such. A lot of people have done them, so I mean, I guess I'd try to find my spin on it or something. But they are kind of neat, and a lot of people do like them. So if you're wanting to make gifts or get into, if you've got a camping niche where you can sell those, it's definitely something to look into. There's a lot of templates out there for them.
Yeah. DJS. No, like I said, I might look at it later, but I'm not going. I don't want to be turning it on right now. I'll have to run wires and plug up USB cables and everything else because I've been doing other stuff this week. And Diana Quintanar is saying, do you have a fiber laser? Yes, we both have a few. I currently have set up a 30-watt MOPA over there, a 60-watt MOPA here. And then I've got, it's not a fiber, what you're calling a fiber necessarily, but I have the UVs sitting here, which do operate through a fiber optic cable, but they're, well, actually, I don't think, no, the UVs don't. They fire directly from the head, don't they? No, well, one of them does. The other one doesn't. One of them does have an umbilical cord. The other one doesn't. But yeah, we have a few. We've tried out all kinds of stuff here.
Mine are pretty much limited to the 20-watt fiber, so I don't have anything special above that.
You don't have a mobile. You don't have a mobile. The one thing that Steve hasn't got that I've gotten is a MOPA.
Well, and or anything higher than 20 watts. So
true. Yeah, that's a source.
But it's just also I don't seek that. I don't seek them out because I'll be honest. I don't do a lot with that stuff. I mean, that's really with a higher power fiber laser, you're getting into deeper engraving of metals. And it's just not something I do a lot of. And so while it would be cool to have, and it would be nice to work with and play with, so, have a better understanding and more experience with it. It's one of those things that if I got it, I'd be like, okay, great. Now what? Because I'd have to invest in all the materials and things. And it's just not in my.
Oh yeah. Cause when you go by the machine shop and start buying scraps, they still get premium prices for scraps.
Yeah.
Trust me.
Yeah, well, they want their scrap metal.
I went, come back with aluminum, and you're like, yeah, but that hurt. Yeah, it did.
Yeah,
especially brass. Last time I went and picked up some brass, and I walked into the office, and I'm like, okay, how much is this going to cost me? And he told me, and I'm like, okay, I'll be right back. I'm gonna go put this back where I found it because I'm not fixing to, pay that. But yeah. Dixie May, as far as spindles, if you can get a trim router or equivalent to me, if the machine can't handle a trim router or equivalent, you're not going to be able to. It's going to depend on the machine. But to me, a trim router is a bare minimum that I would want to work with because it's going to limit your projects if you can't put a trim router on it or higher. I mean, like with the Fox Alien, me and Steve both have the 1500 watt spindles on our Fox Aliens, and they handle it really well. We've ran other machines that had 300, 500 watt spindles, and it's just not fun. Like being able to really throw some chips around. But now with the CNC, you also have to remember there's going to be dust and debris and chips that you're going to have to contend with as well, and noise. So it's not like a laser.
So yeah, a trim router is going to be roughly a 700 watt equivalent power, so yeah, I would agree with that. If you're doing anything, if you're wanting to even carving signs, V carving signs, I mean, you can do it with the lower power, but you're taking shallower passes, your depth of cuts are going to be limited. Getting into that trim router and that 700 watt size really makes a big difference. It lowers the frustration.
Yeah. I said the 4040 Pro Max or the Masuda 3S are definitely the two that I would recommend for most applications. Unless you're doing like jewelry, then you can just get yourself a 3030 or something, Mark says he's waiting on a hobby level metal printer. That'll probably be a little while. And depending on how expensive your hobbies are.
Yeah. It depends on what your hobby budget is. Jerry Richmond's saying, I noticed both of you printed an adapter mount for your AMS on top of your A1s. Did you use PLA or something stronger?
Mine's PLA.
Mine might be PETG, but it might be honestly it might be a mixture because there's both the brackets you put on the bottom and then the part on top. I would go PETG if you can. It's just gonna be a little more durable. It's gonna be less brittle because some of those pieces there's a little bit of snapping and locking in place. But it was designed around PLA, and so you definitely can go that route. Obviously, your printer's going to be inside. The parts fit pretty well. But if you've got PETG, I would run that. Otherwise, don't be worried about printing in PLA. And if you find you need to reprint it later, it really doesn't take that long. Doesn't use too much filament if you need to reprint it later.
Jer's got a question. Says, is there anyone you recommend to tweak a 3D file I made it in Tinkercad for a self-raising flag for mailbox door? It works, but want to tweak it for it looks better to sell. No, I mean, I do all my own stuff, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I haven't. I'm sure there are people out there that may do that, but offhand, I don't know of anyone I can recommend that might do that for you.
Yeah, we were talking about the fibers earlier. Back before I got UVs, I know me and you both used to use them a lot for plastics and acrylics and stuff like that. But now that the UVs have came along, I catch myself, like you said, even stainless steel, I'll use a UV. It's slower, but it's a little harder to mess up stainless with a UV than it is with a 60-watt MOPA. 60-watt MOPA, if you get your settings wrong, you've just, you've destroyed it. Whereas with the UV, it takes longer, but sometimes the extra little bit of finesse keeps you from messing things up. And the UV does a good job on copper.
And especially on thinner, if you're just wanting to mark, like I did those stainless steel tins at one point, even with the 20-watt fiber on one of the fonts, it was a little too bold of a font. And so the heat caused just a little bit of a waviness there where the UV is doesn't build up that heat as quickly. So yeah, you're right. The UV is really kind of taken over for just general marking of most materials that I would use a similar Galvo style fiber for. Other than like tumblers.
Yeah,
UV
tumblers on a UV is
slow. It's slow.
That is, I mean, can you do it? Yes, but bring a sandwich and a couple of drinks and maybe a Monster Energy drink and some knitting because you're going to be a while. Boomer says, asking, did I buy my second lawnmower yet? No, I haven't bought one, but I may have one coming. I'm still waiting to hear back from them, but I may have. Let me look, make sure they haven't sent me an email. I may have one coming. I don't want to say for sure what it is in case it doesn't come, but I had a company reach out to me and say that they were going to send me one, and we'll see. And I've got several other companies that are in this bag of people we talked to at CES. Matter of fact, one of them gave me this bag that have offered. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I do plan to add a second one,
though. Sharon's asking, does an IR module on the iCube style laser create names on jewelry? The 5-watt iCube Pro original marked them, but then wiped off when you clean the spray off. So yeah, the IR module, when using it with like the stainless steel, even like the gold color stainless steel, things like that, it will mark on jewelry. I did that on like a small pendant in my video. I also marked stainless steel, just raw stainless steel in it. So yeah, it will leave a black mark that is basically permanent. Versus the trying to use the marking spray, which generally you're probably going to need closer to 10 watts to make that really work. There's some brands that vary in what, temperature and power laser will get that diffuse, but the IR module will at least leave a mark on stainless steel, some brass. It's more muted on brass. I don't think I tried copper. But yeah, you have a much better luck with that.
Well, I just confirmed it. Those 2 tracking numbers that I have are, in fact, a Saint Smart CNC.
Cool.
So, I was talking about before the live. I didn't know for sure what it was, but I just got an email from Saint Smart saying that they have shipped the ProVer XL 4030S, and it's heading my way. So, I'll be doing some small stuff here pretty soon with the CNC. So might be another one to add to the list of recommendations.
Dixie May, yeah, the 4040 Pro Max with the trim router is a really nice one to get started with. And if you want to get the extended access as well, make it even bigger machine, you can down the road as well. So I still have mine. I still do some stuff with it. I've even thought about bringing it down here in the basement, putting an enclosure in it and such for smaller work. But yeah, you'll want to look also at, it doesn't come with a dust boot. They do have one that you can buy that is decent for getting started with. And you may over time find that you want something different, but you might want to look into that as well if you're looking at that machine.
Yeah, because that's something that you've got to plan for that, because there will be chips. Hopefully not a lot of dust unless you're doing 3D stuff. If you're doing 3D stuff with that real tight step over, it does tend to look more like dust than chips, but it's technically still just little tiny chips. But it's just a lot smaller as far as particulate size goes.
Yeah, if you're getting dust, your feeds and speeds aren't matched up right.
Yeah, and if it starts smelling like you're cooking acorns or something, you're really got something messed up. But yeah, the other day I had what bit was it I was running? Oh, I had that upcut extended reach bit from Cody. I was doing the roughing on my alligators, and I couldn't because it was so deep. And because the material was still kind of high on the ends, I couldn't lower my dust shoe down to it. So, man, it was slinging pieces everywhere when I was doing that one. But they were coming out nice and like twisted little, almost looked like little tiny pieces of cinnamon sticks is what they looked like, because they were like cut like little curls.
Dixie's asking what it's a 40-40, 40-30, 30-30, 10-10 numbers mean. That's the size of the working area of the machine in centimeters. So it's a 400 by 400 millimeter working area, or a 40 by 40 centimeter working area. So that's how Saint Smart and some others do it. So when you're looking at Saint Smart Genmitsu machines, that's the working area. Now the machine itself is going to be bigger, but that's the working area. So you're going to have a working area of about 16 3/4 inches square. And then what is it, about, I forget the Z height on that one, 80 to 100 millimeters.
I think it's around 100. Don't quote me on that.
Yeah.
They've changed the Z axis on the newer ones.
Yeah.
I think it's around 100. I think it may be even 150, because the one that they're wanting to send me, I think, is 130. The new one they're sending me. So, but they're calling that extra tall. So yeah, I would say probably 100. Depending, I think it depends on whether it's a 4040 Pro, ProVer, Pro Max, Pro whatever.
Yeah, some of them can be slightly different.
Now I will say the 4040, the one that I had, I think the original 4040 Pro, it was technically like 420 millimeters.
Well, the original, according to them, the original 4040 had a 65 millimeter height, and now with the Pro Max you get 100. millimeter height,
Okay.
according to their little graphic.
You know, they changed the Z-axis a lot.
Yeah.
So, but the 4040 Pro Max would definitely do most. I mean, you're going to do some pretty cool projects with that one. And you can run what I consider to be big boy feeds and speeds with the 4040 Pro Max as long as your work holding is is good.
Yep. Here you go. Ryan's asking, what are you guys planning for your 2025 big project?
2025. That was like last year, Ron. my 2025 big project was retirement.
And remember, when talking with Clack about big, it's all relative. So,
yeah, kind of like talking with Steve about small. It's relative to him too. Oh.
So you have a big project for 2026?
I mean, I got a bunch of stuff that I'd like to say is a big project. I'd love to say that I'm going to build me a new shop in 2026, or at least a storage building to take some of this stuff and put in it. But I don't know that that's going to happen. We're going to have to see. I'm just trying to establish myself as, you know, full-time out here in the shop. That's the biggest thing. Just make it work, enjoy the freedoms, maybe have a little extra time to do other stuff. Hopefully, you know, just embrace being out here all the time, full time. That's a pretty big project. Now I do plan sometime in the next few months to redo this table right here. Oh, that's probably the biggest project that. Oh, we got a cat fight going on back there. We got a cat fight going on. Yay, y'all quit fighting. I'm going to get the water bottle out. Callie's trying to go up. And is that Tiger or Fluffy? That's Tiger. And Tiger's like, nope, you ain't coming up here. But the table, and like I said, if I'm dreaming, I'm going to dream big. I'm going to say I'm going to get me at least a storage, like a pole barn with a slab that I can close up to move. Like I got all my welding stuff, my wire welder, and all my welding stuff is in a metal cart right there behind that stairs. And it's taken up probably 3 foot by 3 foot by 2 foot area that I could use for something else, but I can't put that outside because, you know, it just don't need to be outside. So if I had a storage building, like another shop / storage building, I could move that and put it up there. And a bunch of this stuff that's over here is just like around the house DIY stuff, even like my DeWalt leaf blowers and stuff like that. I don't have to have that in a climate controlled environment. I could move those if I had another building. So that's on the, like, if that's my big list. Small list, new table. Yeah, that's all I got.
Yeah, I don't have anything grandiose like that. But I do want to kind of redo my basement workshop. It was set up to be, you know, a model airplane workshop for so many years. And so the benches and the storage and the such just have not worked as well for all my miscellaneous maker machines and such. And so I want to kind of rebuild some of the workbenches with better storage for materials and accessories and such underneath them, have better access to venting for multiple machines and such, and that make it a little bit easier to work on things in the comfort of the climate controlled basement for times like now. A little bit of the same out in the main shop. I've got my Onefinity on a table and such, and that works okay. But I want to kind of have a better setup for the CNC machines, for like the Fox Alien and some of the Genmitsu stuff for some of the smaller ones, so I can more easily access them both for just smaller projects and or, you know, video tutorial things, and maybe even redoing some of the venting for some of the lasers in there. Just again, you and I are in a kind of a unique situation in both using our shops to create stuff, then sell things and whatnot, but also for content creation. And sometimes the content creation moves the production stuff out of the way, depending on size of machine and, you know, venting needs and things like that. And I'd kind of like to get away from that to where I can have static setup. Like, these things are my production stuff. They don't move, but I still have space to do the setup and, you know, kind of the testing and the review of new machines and new projects without constantly moving things around and using the Onefinity as a storage bench and things like that.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. Like, if I do any other kind of CNC work, I have to put it pretty much over there on my CNC. Like, that is my table for testing out CNCs, because, like you said, I mean, I've still got to run a business. I do the content, but I still have jobs and projects and things that I work on that aren't necessarily going to be done with a machine that I'm testing. Now, if it's a project that I can do with one of the machines that I have in for testing, I try to do that. Even if it takes me a little longer, I'll use a different machine just to run it through its paces and real world try it out. But yeah, me and you are kind of, you know, unique in the fact that a lot of our machines are kind of nomads. You know, they're not staying in one place long term. You know, they'll stay for several months. We'll test them, we'll use them, we'll run them through the paces, get a good idea of them, get them, you know, get a good feel of how the machine runs, and then they move on to other, you know, other things. Very few of these machines, you know, will stay put. Like my X40 Max now, it's staying put, but it's because I use it on those stove covers, and currently I do not have a good replacement for it. So it stays. My OhmTech, it's my tumbler machine right now. Like, the Polar Plus is my tumbler machine. I've got the Alien Cell over there. I like the machine. It does a great job. And it's a new upcoming machine that I plan on using for a while to, you know, test out thoroughly and all that. But some of these machines may not be here in a few months. You know what I mean? Because as new things come in, better things come in, they get kind of they kind of nomad around and go different places. Like Klein's got several of my machines at his place that he runs. And when people ask me how's the machine doing, you know, I know it's running well because Klein reports back to me, hey, still loving it. Like, he's still running my Adam Stack A30 up there. It's one of his main machines. You know, he's got the big ASMR, the big 4 foot by 4 foot. It's up there. He broke the e-stop button on it. We had to fix that the other day. But I think he had a panic situation. He slapped it too hard. But luckily, the e-stop on that machine will function as normal open or normal closed. So if you break the normal closed, you can flip it around and reverse the polarity and run it as normal open. So we fixed it. We was able to fix it without buying parts. It's just you have to pull the e-stop now instead of push it.
Well, and that's and part of what I'm going to have to do to meet my goal of getting organized is probably have a
yard sale
/ you know, do a northern meetup here with some people and move on some of these machines that have served me well and but have been upgraded, or, you know, review machines that came in and were nice but just haven't won a spot. So
Gerald Grady saying I need a lift. That is up there is actually a small, like, you have to get on your knees to get up there, but it's kind of an attic space that I've created, and there are machines up there that I don't want to get rid of because I like them and they're my just in case machines. But there's actually a Rolly Lasermatic up there and currently an X-Tool S1 up there, because those are machines that I don't want to get rid of because I like them and I can use them, but I don't have room to keep them set up constantly right now. And that's one of the things, if I ever do get more space, those are machines that I would bring back and give them a home and a place to sit and be used. But right now I have to prioritize based on which machines do I use the most, or which machines am I still evaluating? Because I've had the S1 for a couple of years now. I know it inside out, upside down. I mean, I know all there is that needs to know about the S1. But it got to the point where I had to have somewhere to put the Reno, and so I had to put it up there temporarily until I start moving things around. Like Steve said, there will be another meet and greet / machines free to a good home or whatever eventually. I think this past year, between the meet and greet and just random drawings, there's no telling how much gear we've gave away between the two of us. So. Yeah, I've got way too many machines. I've got to do something with this. I'm gonna be honest with you. This because I've got. There's potential for a couple of machines to be sent my way that will require some of this space right here, and so I'm gonna have to redo something here, more than likely. So we'll see. I don't want to let the cat out of the bag just yet, just in case it don't happen. But there are some companies bidding for some space right here with some new products. We'll see.
Oh, well, where are we at? Jared, maybe reach out to shed companies.
No, I got it.
Sheds are dangerous because they can become collection spots for things, and pretty soon you can't reach the back of the shed.
Yeah, well, I talked to my buddy Jason over at Cog Hill the other day, and he has a guy that has built the newest shop that he has on his property. And from talking to him, I think that's probably the pole barn, with the tin and the garage door is probably, economically speaking, the best approach. I think it's doable, to be able within the next year or so I think it's doable for me to save up enough money to do the shell, like slab shell, no plumbing, wiring, just slab and shell. And that would serve a purpose for storage for things that don't require climate control. And so that's my goal. That's what I want to do, but I'm not, I don't know that it's going to happen. Situations with finances, how that goes. But that is kind of my goal to do that. And maybe one day that building turns into, like an actual workshop. Like maybe I get some money saved up and then I do electrical and then I do interior lighting and I do, who knows? But if I don't do nothing else but build, the shell of a building and then throw some solar panels on there with some, lights just for navigating the darkness, that would actually be a big help. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes.
Yep. I would imagine a large expense there is just the site work to get a place prepped for it.
It wouldn't be terrible because I do, between my tractor and the box blade and the fact that I have this big, enormous pile of dirt behind me, I could do a lot of it myself. I do have, like my brother-in-law has, skid steers and excavators that he will loan me. I know how to run them. I've ran them. I did a lot of the dirt work here. I did myself. So that part wouldn't be terrible. I mean, that, if I had the time to do it. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
I just remember back doing my garage shop. The site work, the concrete and all that was a chunk of change to prep.
Concrete is not cheap. So, I got a guy and he does me right, but it's still not cheap. Just the mere, like this shop here, I think I paid $1,000 for the slab and it's only like 4 inches thick. And that was me forming it, me putting in the leveling stakes and everything. All he did was called for the truck and then smoothed it out when it got here. So I put the vapor barrier down, the wire, I did all that. So we'll see.
Dixie is asking if we've got a discount code for Sane Smart. There's often one associated with our affiliate link. It's not always there, but if you go to the description of either of our videos or any of our videos, we usually have a link to our affiliate links, which will list them all. And then by using that, it usually auto applies any discounts as well as gives us the affiliate for it. So just look in the description of either Clax or mine, and there should be a link for affiliate links on there, and then Sane Smart should be listed there. Some of those kind of come and go, and sometimes there's a 5% off by default. Sometimes there's not, but
yeah. I don't know if I have an
that's the
active
best way to check it out.
discount code or not. Yeah, but
Yeah, like I say, sometimes they apply a certain discount to them. Sometimes it's automatic, and sometimes they send us certain ones that are good for a certain period and such. But
yeah. Oop. No, Seth, I don't I don't need a GoFundMe. Trust me, there's people that needs money. If you're going to give your money to somebody, give it to somebody that worse than I am. I have a business and I can make my money. I just have to budget. I'm no stranger to hard work and waiting. Like I said, it's especially now that I'm full time. Maybe everything will grow. All I ask is like, follow, subscribe, share the videos, that kind of stuff. That helps me more than anything. Just growing the channel. I don't need handouts or anything like that. I'd love to have the shop, but at the same time, that it's a want. It's not necessarily a need at this point. It would be nice, but yeah. But I plan to get
more
there.
space to fill up.
Yep. Well, I don't know if you got an email or not, but I just got an email. Apparently, there's been some changes with 3D images with UV lasers. So we'll have to read up on that and maybe have a video about it here soon. All right. Questions, comments, concerns. We are at an hour and 42 minutes. And 2 hours is generally our window. It's kind of a slack crowd tonight. So we're going to hopefully get out of here on time. Unless
everybody's cold.
You think the cold's got them? Because usually we have a little bit more people here. Did we run them off?
Now, if you're in an area where you're not freezing your butt off, there was a what was it? Like a solar spike or whatever recently, and so they're saying the next 2 days, if you got clear skies, there's a good chance for northern lights to be seen. So, especially up here, but even visible on camera down there in Arkansas and northern Alabama, but even northern Iowa is supposed to be visible overhead, middle of country visible on horizon. Just some of the geeky stuff I follow. That or your communications may have be a little disrupted from solar flares.
Yeah.
Steve Massey's asking, what do I do at the college?
Nothing.
I am the Chief Information Officer and Director of IT Services. So I manage the IT staff that take care of all the technology for the campus. And also represent the college at system-wide, statewide things and such. So basically, they bumped me up in management because they felt I was inept at actually doing the work. That's what I tell everybody.
I'm gonna say that you do nothing. You just get the check. His check shows up. He stays sick.
Wouldn't say that I do nothing. There are definitely some days where I go, I can't believe I get paid for this. And there are other days I go, I really wish I was getting paid to do something else.
That's a job, like, isn't it? Like one day it's like, man, they don't pay me enough for this crap. And the next day is like, I can't believe they actually paid me today.
Yeah, I mean, like there's been some days where I get sent to conferences and such, so it's kind of like going to CES paid. But then I'm, making sure I'm representing the college. I'm meeting with various contacts there to learn new technologies, learn about new. We get a lot of requirements from federal, state, whatever, about all sorts of things, from digital security to student record safety, all that sort of stuff. But yeah, there are some days where I'm literally evaluating various technologies for use at the college, and you're basically playing around, testing new stuff, kind of like we do here, and figuring out what's going to work. But I will say the job has the level of cybersecurity and the amount of time and energy and money spent on that is incredibly depressing, honestly, in how much you spend in just trying to protect yourselves from people who are trying to, steal or destroy your systems. So, but yeah, that's what I do at the college. I've been there 25 years. Started there as a desktop workstation support guy, computer lab assistant, and have worked my way up to being the chief information officer there. So probably be there for hopefully till I retire. Honestly, I enjoy education. I enjoy technology, and so it's a good fit. David Pingle's asking, I have a Bamboo A1 and the nozzle is plugged. What is the best way to clear the plug? Heat?
Get her hot.
I don't know if let's see here. Where's my toolkit? So in the toolkit, if you still have it, there would have been a little container here that has this real thin wire that's on like a spring on one side. If you can heat that up and then kind of run that through, kind of like a pipe cleaner, that can help out. Run it a few times and try to extrude some filament. But this is one of those things too that it depends on time or money. I would definitely, any 3D printer you have, get some spare nozzles, because sometimes they just get gunked up and heated up, and you could or gunked up and even as much as you heat it up, it just gets frustrating to clean it out. And they're not terribly expensive to replace, but yeah, heat and just basically running that wire through and then trying to feed some filament back through is kind of your best bet on that. And like Ryan's saying, there you can turn it into maintenance mode to turn that the hot end on. So
yep. There's your one. Dixie says, Steve, ever heard of Norton Ghost?
Yeah. Used Ghost for a long time in replicating systems. We don't use it as much anymore because we'll use both. There's more applications. We use Endpoint Central from Zoho, but it's similar to what like Microsoft System Center or now Intune, where you kind of manage images more through. You have a network bootable image that loads to the local drive, and then you tell it which applications to add on there. So we don't replicate drives as much as we used to that way. But
yeah, 15 years of computer forensics. I still have a few of my things sitting around, but I use this to back up my machines, my forensic machine, because a lot of times I'll ghost an image and I'll run a ghost copy. That way, if I get in any kind of malware or any kind of exposure onto my local machine, I can literally purge that ghost and bring it back from the dead. So this was one of the tools that we used doing forensics, because you don't want to, it's kind of like wearing that Tyvek suit. When you get through traipsing through the mud and the muck, sometimes it's better to just throw it away than just to try to clean up after it. So yeah, I have a copy of Ghost on here. This is a newer version. It's not the Norton. It was after they discontinued Norton. They went to just what is it, Symatech, but it's the same.
Symatech.
Yeah, it's the same thing. It's the same program, just licensed differently, I think. Yeah. So yeah, there you go. All kinds of little goodies in this little folder right here. Let's see. Chris said they just pay you appearance money.
I like to say sometimes they pay me not to show up.
Yeah, well, hey, they're paying me not to show up. Seriously, like legit. Seriously, they're paying me not to show up.
Well, there's some people who when they're told, well, you're going to have to go ask Steve, they're like, oh.
Yeah.
I like to ask all those logical questions, you know? What do you really need this for?
Yeah. I don't see anything else. Jerry Richmond says, do you use Linux systems in your shops? No, I used to run a lot of Linux. Like I said, imaging machines, computer forensics. I used to have a lot of Linux in my life, but you know, these machines and the softwares and the drivers and all that, it's Windows is just the easy button, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. I used to do more with it. My son loves playing around with Linux now, because he's actually in the computer careers program at the college right now. I've been tempted to try just test it with a few things, because there are actually some decent Linux distros that will allow you to run Windows-based programs on them. And so I just kind of curious on how it would handle certain programs in the shop, like Lightburn and such. But no, it, you know, having you know, applications run in their kind of native OS is kind of handy. You just got to be mindful about security and kind of make sure you keep yourself protected that way. Lance is asking, does our RT department also run AV type stuff? Yeah, it's really, I mean, most AV stuff has integrated into technology pretty heavily at this point. So you kind of have to run it that way. We're a heavy Zoom based college for our even for our digital signage, our phones, and of course our distance learning. And so a lot of our AV equipment is Zoom enabled equipment that, you know, then has to network with things as well. So, yep, we take care of all that.
Biscuit come in here for a snack. he went and got in some mud yesterday, and he was black from like the waist down. I don't know what happened to him.
Sandra Parker is asking, would the Lumos be a good investment? It's definitely an option that if you're looking for portable engraving and want to work both in, you know, your metals and plastics as well as more natural materials, it's definitely good. I would take a close look at the X-Tool F2 compared to the Lumos, you know, price wise and feature wise. The F1, the original F1 was kind of like the gold standard for a while. And then some others that came out that were competing with it, like the Lumos, but then X-Tool kind of made a bit of a jump over it with the X-Tool F2. So depending on where you find the price point, you might find that you get a little more power, and you might, they've made improvements, but the software that drives the Lumos, the We Create software, I'm just not as happy with as far as compared to Lightburn or X-Tool Studio. And so that's where I would take a close comparison at those. Now, if you don't need the IR module, you could look at the X-Tool F1 Lite or even like the Atom Stack Atelier as just a blue diode option as well. That would save you some money and work with Lightburn.
Yeah, I will say, out of the We Create series of machines, the Lumos was probably the least problematic that I've heard of, as far as I haven't heard a lot of complaints about problems with it. But yeah, the software would be the limiting thing with the machine. Is I as well not really a big fan of their software. It wasn't terrible if you've never used any other software, but if you're used to the other like Lightburn or X-Tool software, it doesn't quite reach that mark, that threshold, in my opinion.
Brad's asking, will I be doing any more Tinkercad videos? As I kind of do those as a project presents itself. So I'd like to, but like I say, I need to kind of have the driving project to do it. But I definitely want to be doing more 3D printing stuff this year. Now that I've definitely grown my farm of 3D printers and such. And so that'll probably be a mixture of, finding other people's files and how I might use them or modify them to, doing some of my own stuff. So I can't say when, but yeah, definitely want to add some more of those, just to kind of, even if it's kind of reiterating some of the old processes, it's sometimes I'll just say something different, or I'll do a different workflow, and I'll click with people differently. So yes, I just can't say for sure when.
This dog burped on me, and it's ugh. I don't know what he's been eating.
Probably chicken livers.
I don't know. His breath smells bad when he burps. Ugh. Let's see here. Seth's also asking, have either of you upgraded to the next version of Lightburn, the one in pre-release? No, I have not, because I don't like being a beta tester. Just plain and simple. I just don't. I don't like, especially like this week when I've been working on stuff that I'm trying to get done. The last thing I need is a bunch of beta test gremlins. So I've avoided it. Now, if I had another machine that, I wasn't needing for, jobs and I had the time, then yeah, probably. I mean, I'd play around with it. But like on this machine or the one over there that I use here in the shop, no, I'm going to stick with what I know works. I usually even delay updates for a couple of weeks and see what the complaints are before I do it. Just because I do use these machines to generate revenue and generate income, and I don't need them decommissioned. What you want out now?
Yeah, I haven't either. I haven't had even time to get my CES videos and such done this month, so I'm a little behind on stuff. I'm kind of in the same vein. If I have time, I might load it up on a secondary machine to take a look at it. But a lot of times I'm swamped enough with, my other content stuff I'm trying to do, the, orders for other people and, family life. So I don't have as much time for beta testing software as I used to. So I try to keep up on what they're saying in the forums a little bit as far as features and what people are saying about it. So I have an idea. And if something sounds interesting, that's usually when I'll jump in and say, oh, I'd kind of like to play with that. But unfortunately, I just don't get the time to play with pre-releases too often.
Yeah, this, I mean, like I said, I'm not against it at times in a controlled environment that I can, that's not going to affect my revenue or anything. But, if I were going to do it, I'd probably do it on the computer in the house. That way, because I don't run lasers in the house. I design files in there at times, but for the most part, I work out here. But yeah, it's not on my list of things to do right now. I've got projects and video ideas and stuff like that I'm trying to work through for the moment, because I'm still having to play catch up around the shop too, from being gone to CES for a week. So I got stove cover orders stacking up again.
Yep.
Well, we are at 1 hour and 59 minutes. So final call, last call for questions. If you have them, drop them in this comment section over here, and we'll try to get around to
them. Jerry Richmond's asking, would you guys recommend a lightly used GWE Cloud 50 watt CO2 laser for first CO2 if the price was very good?
Wasn't that like a polar? Didn't it look like a polar?
It was similar. I feel like the reviews on it was similar to a polar with some slight differences. So maybe, I guess it would depend on the very good price.
Yeah.
Because, some of those, and I don't remember what software it works with. If it's cheaper, like a really good deal where it's cheaper than, say, like a Reno 45, because even though that's a basic laser, it works well with light burn. It's got decent power for that. I can kind of feel more confident about that one than some of these that maybe some of the features work best with specialty software. So Not having experience with the GWE, I hate to say yes or no on that one. I mean, if it's a really, really good deal where you're like, hey, if it doesn't work out, I'm okay throwing that money away. Sure, why not? But, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't seen that one either. I saw some of the marketing around it and stuff like that when they first came out with it, but you never know. You never know. Long term, did the machine hold up? Who knows? But I'm pretty sure it was. Yeah, it looked a lot like the Polars and everything. Looks like they're selling for $16.59. So with a rotary, so I mean, it's not that expensive of a machine. It does look a lot like a Polar. I wonder if it's. It may just be it may literally have been made in the same factory as the Polar, because looking at some of these screenshots of the interior, it looks a lot like my Polar Plus. So it might be worth a gamble. Don't know. Like I said, depending on how good a deal you got on it. if it's got a good controller and a good tube, I mean, you could technically come out good on that. But it looks a lot like the Polar, like a lot, like. So, don't know.
Yeah, Lance is saying, isn't the GWE Cloud fully internet based? You lose internet, you can't use it, or did they change their proprietary software? That may be what I was thinking of, and that would be a concern to me, in that whether you lose internet or they stop support for it. So sometimes, and that's why looking at some of these Lightburn compatible, can work offline ones might be better.
Well, I don't know if this is the same one I'm looking at, but the GWE Cloud 50 watt I'm looking at, it says it's Lightburn compatible.
Okay.
So, and this is the website here, but it's showing that it's Lightburn compatible.
Yeah, I mean, in that case.
So, and it looks a lot like, even down to like the way that all of this is put together. From what I know of the internals, is definitely some similarities to the Polar, like the way that this is encased and everything. So it might be worth it. Like I said, depends on how good a good deal is. So you never know. Ryan said, didn't Glowforge get bought recently? I'm not sure. I've never really been a Glowforge kind of guy.
Yeah, I know they've been struggling. So maybe they got bought or restructured or something, but yeah, I've kind of the same thing. I don't
don't really keep up with them.
I mean, I had my laser, my 60 watt when Glowforge kind of came out, and it all sounded great, but then, a lot of people have had problems with the cloud-based software and, proprietary this, that, and the other thing. And I'm really glad I did not go that route, even though it seemed like the easier one to get into.
Yeah, I know a few people around here that had a Glowforge, and most of them have gotten away from Glowforge now. So I think it was at the time, Glowforge took lasers and made it kind of like affordable to an extent for like, stay-at-home moms that wanted a hobby. But I think when X-Tool came in to the space, I think that, X-Tool gave you that plus others. I think they were a major competitor for Glowforge.
Yeah, I think our local makerspace had a Glowforge for a while, but then it kind of went bellied up, and they wanted a bunch of money to fix it. And X-Tool basically stepped in and said, "We'll send you a P2."
Yeah,
and so they've been rocking that for a while.
Yep. All right, guys. Well, it is 2 hours and 5 minutes, so we're gonna call it.
Oh, and the Bears lost. I feel really bad.
But yeah, I don't. Yeah, doesn't matter to me. But anyway, we'll be back next Sunday. Same, same channel, same stuff. Hopefully, we can get some good content out. I know I have dropped a few videos recently, trying to get caught up with the CES stuff as well as some project / machine process based videos with my curved surface glass engraving video earlier. And I have decided that X-Tool needs to come up with a new naming scheme. I got so tired of saying X-Tool F2 Ultra UV. They need to just embrace the whole F thing and go F2, F3, F4, F5. Let's do something like that. But yeah, there's some new content coming out. I know Steve's still playing catch up with his since he got under the weather. He's a little behind, but hopefully you guys can stay tuned and catch some of that video and see some of the things that we got to see at CES this past, well, I guess it's over a week ago now, but
yeah,
a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, hopefully I'll get some stuff rolling, get caught up. Hopefully this weather doesn't stay. I mean, we've got this cold dip now, a little bit of snow midweek, and then another cold dip next weekend. If I get through February, it should warm up. So we're only about 6 weeks away from hopefully staying above zero.
I'm just hoping this little cold spell goes away. It's supposed to be 26 outside tonight. It's ridiculous.
I'd be lucky if I see 26 this week. So
anyway, guys, y'all have a good day. Appreciate you.
We'll see ya.